Well, just recently I met with a young man who's looking for programs. So he studied in France, so he's Moroccan, and he went to study in France, and he actually really wanted to come back. He felt that he wanted to do something for his country, and he is looking for graduate programs. And I told him about AUI being really a great, let's say, experience in Morocco, being really in Morocco. I mean, you are obviously located in this region, and at the same time of having that global outlook, because we have international faculty, we are also I mean an English language institution, so even in terms of let's say well, our connection, that really helps. And so I told him that actually, because he is thinking about going to a public university, because he kind of really wants real Moroccan experience. I think it's more because he kind of maybe didn't have such a great experience in France, and he feels that he kind of want something authentic. And my take was that actually he might not be disappointed, but it might be a reverse cultural shock, and that it's maybe better to come here precisely because I think it's a smoother transition, and I think it's also because our programs, for what he is trying to do, so he's interested in sustainability, and I think we definitely have a faculty working on that. So even in terms of research opportunities, we are in a region where there needs to be a lot of work on sustainability, because we are important for the natural resources of Morocco. And I think he might be sold on it. So, but I think definitely here for, let's say, this type of profile, I think we are hands down the best offer that is right now in Morocco. For my students, so for instance, I would I would talk, well, I oftentimes present myself as an alumna, so kind of telling my students, I've been there, done that, so I know. I'll try to tell me things. And they also usually kind of, I think, find a connection with me through that we are both coming from this institution. So they would come and tell me about my experience, kind of trying to see if they can get inspired from my path. And so to me, the first thing I would really emphasize is do a study abroad program. Do as many as you can, because that's the highlights to me of the AUI experience, and also of a truly, let's say, or maybe not truly, but really someone who wants that global outlook. That's very needed. So I would direct them to do international programs. And I again tell them to try and diversify the experience, to go to different places if that's possible. Also for my students, to my advisees in terms of their internships, try to kind of also direct them to experiences abroad. And also for the graduates, well, the graduating students. So I had some who are kind of not sure about going yet directly to the job market. So I also kind of tell them to consider our graduate programs.
Yeah, and I did things that I wouldn't have done it. Like I got a part-time job at the Foster School. I was a research assistant. I was just giving out those surveys, and it was not a lot of hours, and it was not a lot of money, but I wanted that experience. Like, how was it to go to work every day in America and do things and have a boss and all of that? It just, I think it puts you in you're constantly facing new situations and you discover yourself more. I know that when I came back, I felt like I knew myself better, because when you have all these options and you go through all of these things, then you realize, okay, am I really where I want to be? What do I want to do in the future? It was clear to me after that my master's degree was going to be in the US or outside of Morocco, because I wanted more of that experience, because you take a lot for granted when you're in your own culture. There's things that you don't see, that you assume, and you go there and you're the other and you have to explain who you are, why you're thinking this way, or you see people do things differently, and that's when you realize, you're like, that's so weird, and then you're like, no, that's not weird. What is it? Okay, it's different. Why do they do things this way? And it's like you take a step back on every situation, and I think you get a better analytical perspective on things.
So we had 3 weeks of what they called survival Japanese classes. Though really funny. It was intensive because nobody speaks English there. You know, let's face it. Outside of the university, nobody would communicate in English or any other language, for that matter. So you go to Japan, and so it's I think it's something that every student on an international journey experiences. So the first impression is like, wow, everything's so different. Everything is more organized than back home. Everything is cleaner. Everything is so and different and beautiful. And you have this. I think it has a name, right? When you go like abroad in the honeymoon period or something, like just in the stars and you're enjoying yourself. And then you have the drop, where for some time you start noticing only the negative things about the place where you are. Wow, why are they doing this like this? No, that's not good. And the third phase is the best, where you know what are the good things about that place, and you realize that you come with a background, you come with a culture that also has advantages and good things. And that's the best part of the experience, where when you come back from it, you learn so much, and you don't have that, opposite culture shock.
Right.
You don't come back here and you regret having been abroad, because you've noticed that there's so many things that they're doing better than we're doing. But then there are some things that we do, that are also very good, that they could benefit from. And I believe that's something that every student should.
The thing I can say is the experience itself. It's new. Whatever you imagine, it's it's not that way. I mean, you have to live it before you can judge. And I was. It was my first trip to the United States, so I had the chance to see different sides of the United States. I started with Los Angeles. It's very modern, very. I spent about 3 weeks there in early August. Then I joined the university, student town, in a place where I had to discover different cultures, like let's say the Mormon culture. I never knew about it. It was new to me, like the similarities and differences with Islam and Christianity, and it's like what I used to know about the religion side of. So it was an interesting experience. It was 4 months. For me, it was short. I would wished if I had more time to spend there.
I think, compared to other places, I would really say that this is a very healthy environment to get yourself a chance to develop, and like on a personal level.
And studying is something that you can, the actual class content is something you can get everywhere. It's something you can get even alone without going to university. We don't really need like the whole education part as much as we did before, because if you really want to learn something, you can literally learn it by yourself. But the thing you don't learn in other places is just this just knowing yourself more and having the chance of seeing different perspectives in a place where everybody's kind of free to do that. Then you're separated from the normal environment you're used to. You're out of your comfort zone. You're away from your parents, and then that's when you're like free to just experiment with life and see how it goes. I always like the example of cows when they have a baby. So it's a, I don't, what's the word for the
Calf.
a calf. So at some point, I don't remember how many months, the cow would kick her child or her calf to get away from her. Just because to be able to grow into a full adult, you have to be away and just do it yourself. I mean, it's good to know that you have your parents and you have your normal life and you have your safe environment and comfort zone, but at some point you just gotta be like kicked out and yeah, just see things for yourself. And this is, for me, this was the best place to do it.